Guys, my name is Allison.
Buddy, my name's Sona.
So we're both supported learning group leaders. We're both supporting Stats 106 during the winter semester. Supported learning groups, or SLG, targets historically difficult classes and gives students the opportunity to practice course material, as well as provides them with study strategies to help them tackle this course material. So all of us SLG leaders are trained to help you guys through problems, while at the same time providing you guys with skills so that you guys can learn to conquer course material on your own. So in this short little video, myself and Sona will be going through a mock SLG session to show you guys what happens in an SLG session, as well as kind of why we do the things that we do. And I will be the student and Sona will be the leader in our little mock session today.
Okay. Hi, Allison. It's nice to see you at the session here today. So, the plan that I have is to work on fractions. How's that sound for you?
That sounds awesome. Will we be able to work on dividing fractions?
Yeah, I actually have a question that I'll go over the exact concept.
SLG leaders will have a plan for their sessions, but they're always open to the recommendations from students.
Okay, so if you see here, I have 3 different fractions for you. And our goal is going to be to determine which is the smallest and which is the largest value. Do you have any idea of how we would start this question?
SLG leaders prefer to help you find the answer to a question instead of just giving you the solution. This way, you're more likely to be able to solve similar problems without.
I'm not really too sure. Could you maybe tell me how we would go about this?
Here, what about instead we go through the question together? So we have, out of our 3 fractions, is there any concepts that you can see that we're going to have to use to solve this problem?
So for the top one, I think we need to multiply our 2 fractions there. And then for the bottom one, we have to divide them.
Yeah, exactly, Allison. Do you have any idea of how we do this?
I'm not too sure.
Well, that's okay. I think in your notes for lecture 5, you went over how to multiply and divide fractions. Would you be able to find that information for me?
If an SLG leader ever asks you to look something up or refer back to your notes, it's not because your leader doesn't know what's going on. Instead, it helps you develop your skill of finding information.
Yeah, for sure. So for multiplication, it says to multiply the numerators together and the denominators together. And then when dividing, we flip one of the fractions and then multiply them.
Okay, so let's treat this fraction as fraction number 1. Could you show me how you would divide fraction number 1?
So I think we would flip one of them. So we could go 4 over 7 and then multiplied by 6 over 5. And then just multiply them, like the numerators and the denominators.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it would be. Okay, so that's great, Allison. If we were going to treat fraction number 1 as a multiplication question instead, what would you do then?
SLG leaders will commonly ask additional questions during the session in order to solidify the material that you're learning.
So then we would just leave them the same and then just multiply them the way they are. So for example, we would go 4 times 5 for the numerator and then 7 times 6 for the denominator.
Yeah, exactly. So now that we go back, if we go back to the original question, would you be able to multiply fraction number 3 for me if we count this one up here as number 3?
Yeah. So to multiply these guys, we would just go, so 1 times 3 for the numerator, which is 3, and then 3 times 5 for the denominator, which is 15.
So now that we've done all of our multiplication and division, what do you think we do next for this question?
So we need to find out which one is the largest and which one is the smallest fraction. So looking at these, I'm thinking that maybe fraction number 1 is the largest because it has the largest numerator, and that fraction number 3 is the smallest because it has the smallest numerator.
Don't feel afraid to ever give a wrong answer. Making mistakes is one of the best ways to learn, and the SLG leader will help you to identify when a mistake has been made and how to deal with this.
Yeah, so it is true, Allison, that our numerator can be an important indicator of which fraction is the largest or the smallest. But if you remember, we also have to be aware of what our denominator is.
Right, the denominators are different.
Yeah, so if our denominators are different, how can we tell which of our fractions is the largest?
Do we maybe find a common denominator?
Yep, we have to find a common denominator. Do you have any ideas of what number we could use for that?
Maybe 35?
Yeah, 35 would actually be a perfect number to use. If we do that, then our number 3 will end up as 7 over 35. Number 2 will be 30 over 35. And number 1 is still 24 over 35. So now which one do you think is the largest and the smallest?
I think that fraction number 2 is the largest, and fraction number 3 is the smallest.
Okay, yeah, I would agree with you. That's what I got when I did this question.
The SLG leader helped walk the student through the steps of the question, which resulted in the student being able to solve it by themselves. These same skills would not have been learned if the answer was just given to the student at the beginning.
So, Allison, do you have any questions about what we just went over?
I don't think so.
We always want to ensure that students are understanding what goes on in SLG sessions, so we always ask and check for understanding through the use of additional problems.
Okay, just to quickly review the concepts that we went over today. During the beginning, I got you to find what fraction 1 would be with multiplication instead of division, and we got 20 over 42. If we treated 20 over 42 as fraction 1 instead, how would that change how you solve the question?
Then we would need to find another common denominator to compare them to determine which one is the largest and which one is the smallest.
Exactly, because now we can no longer compare all the values together because that's a different denominator. That's really good for noticing that, Allison. Yeah, so I hope you had a good time today and I was able to help you. Feel free to contact me if you need any more help after session. Otherwise, I'll see you next week.
Awesome, thank you so much.
This example that Alison and I have showed you is only one example of what can happen in an SLG session. While many of the concepts we discussed will exist in every session, the format of them can change due to the leader's personal preferences or the subject that they're teaching. If you ever have any questions about what your session is going to be like or anything else about SLG, never feel afraid to contact your SLG leader. Our job is to help you guys succeed and are always happy to answer questions.
Alrighty guys, thank you very much for watching our video on what to expect for an SLG session. So for SLG Session Times, you can go to the UFB website and then just search SLG and it will send you to our session times as well as give you a list of courses that are supported by SLG. SLG leaders for supported classes should be introducing themselves in the first week of classes so you guys can learn a little bit about them, and then they'll probably be releasing their session times pretty quick here once they get their doodle poll results back from you guys. And yeah, please never hesitate to reach out to your SLG leader. We're always very, very happy to help you guys any way that we can. We look forward to seeing you guys at sessions. Take care.